In the know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Little Saturday check-down episode for you guys. We like to just kind of check in on the weekends in the summertime. Just pop in and say, hey,
hello.
You up? Hello. Just pop our heads in, knock on the door and say hello.
Time to wake up. Can't sleep all day. Gotta listen.
I remember one time, one of the 4 college Mexico spring break trips.
Oh, God.
And there was a parasailing guy. Like there's all these guys in like Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta trying to run their little schemes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they're selling like candy and cigarettes, but they'll come up and say, "Do you party, man?" You know, I got a little something.
Oh yeah.
This one guy was trying to sell parasailing rides where they'd like hook a parachute up to your back, and you'd they'd like a boat tied to a rope and a parachute. And I always kind of felt like that seems a little. Is this regulated? I'm not sure.
No.
But he would walk around the beach as you're shaking off your hangover, soaking in the sun, and he would just be saying, "Who wants to get high? Time to get high. Who wants to be tied to a boat with a parachute 100 feet above the ground?" Yeah.
So here's what I don't get, okay? I totally get, especially at that age, but I mean at all ages. I get going on vacation and enjoying drinks and sitting by the ocean or something. Like, I totally get that, okay? So I'm not trying to shoot that down. But it's when you decide to go into the water or participate in activity while you're on that. Now, if you're going,
I'm going to push back a little bit.
No, I'm with Judd.
If you're, but just to
you
be very clear,
put your legs in the water, like just get your feet in the ocean.
No, that's fine. If you
fine.
walk along, what I'm saying is, if you are going to parasail or scuba dive, and that's why you're going, I'm not personally, but I respect that. But what I'm saying is, if you are like Phil, like a young Phil, and you are tearing it up, and the Coronas are flowing, and the salsa and chips, and the mixed drinks, and then parasail guy, and I'm not saying that you did, but you know, then
I did not
guy,
I did not
right?
parasail.
But then parasail guy is like, "Hey, dude, bro, would you want to?" And he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna What are you thinking? Recipe for death."
I'll tell you, we did do a snorkeling excursion one time after a legendary night of drinking, and it was these like two person canoes. I don't know what you call them.
No,
just like a two-person, like a two-person kayak.
I called it bad.
And my friend and roommate I was in the back seat, he was in the front seat, and he just like stops rowing, and we're losing. I'm like, "Dude, what? Are you okay?" And he stops. He's like, "I don't feel very good," and he just yaks all. It's a 2-seater. Like he's like sitting in my lap basically, yaks everything up, and so we did not finish the snorkeling tour. That was pretty much. I'll go in like waist high, you know. I'll go in just to get some ocean water. But
I'm not saying don't go.
Dude, there's a video in Florida of like 2 sharks just swimming.
Nope.
Well, and that's why I'm out on the ocean now. Like, I'm out now. I feel like sharks are coming closer and closer, and like a lot of bad stuff is happening. I am out.
Give them the sea.
Risk.
We have the land. I have the greenie plan. Give them the sea. We have the land. It's a great treaty.
If you take all of the aqua life out of the sea, okay, so let's say there's no sharks, there's no whales, there's no nothing. I still don't want it because of things like riptides. The ocean is as unpredictable as it gets.
Yeah,
I was the only one who stayed back from surfing in Hawaii. I made the actual conscious choice to watch 4 toddlers when I did Hawaii 5 years, which, by the way, is nearly as dangerous as surfing, I will say, because there was a high tide that came in, and the lifeguard was like, "Might want to move the kids back. There's a high."
See, that's the thing. I'd be more nervous about like one of those kids getting swept up on my watch. That terrifies me almost as much. If it's like other people's kids and like, I don't know. Anyways, this is Purple Daily. Daily Vikings entertainment, presented by our friends at TCL. They have award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances, and they bring you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. TCL.com. Simple question for you guys today. I've seen some variation of this because we did the 1998 Vikings pie chart of blame earlier in the week. So a few people have brought this question to the table. I think we should address it. Do the 2023 Vikings have a chance to be the most explosive offense since 1998? Is this the deepest Vikings offense since 1998?
So I personally think probably a more fair question right now, because keep in mind, that became at the time the highest scoring offense of all time. I think eventually broken by the 2007 or 8 Patriots. I think a more fair question is, does this offense have the opportunity to be explosive like 2009 and 98? To me, like that's the holy grail. Like I don't think it's fair to go there yet. And yes, Justin Jefferson is a marvelous player, but keep in mind, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, a run game that was, until Robert Smith decided to go out of bounds to stop the clock against the Falcons, a run game that had been good, an offensive line that you basically knew a ton about. So I would say that I would feel more comfortable as we have this discussion, and it's a good question, but in July, about saying could this be as explosive consistently as what Favre and company orchestrated in 2009? And remember, before you say, well, Justin Jefferson, yes, he's better than Sidney Rice, but that Rice-Favre combination back then was pretty special.
So I would even say, like in 2018, the Vikings offense was really deep. They had Thielen, they had Diggs, they had Dalvin Cook, they had Kyle Rudolph, they had Kirk Cousins coming in here. I think the only thing that makes this Vikings offense look better is the line. The Vikings have a better offensive line as constructed now than versus 2018. Is it the deepest it's been, though? I just look at 09, I look at 18 that I just referenced. And yes, but I don't think it's on the level of 98, but it's probably as good as I have felt about the Vikings offense in 10 plus years, easily.
Yeah, so God, I think 09 is the bar since 1998. And what's kind of crazy is on the Feedback Friday episode, we started talking about the Lions and how the Lions had their second top 5 offense points wise since like 97. Well, the Vikings have only had one top 5 scoring offense since 2000. But during that era, they were number 1 in 98, number 5 in 99, number 5 in 2000. They were also, by the way, the number 4 scoring offense in 95 with Warren Moon, Dennis Green as the head coach and architect. So they actually had, and then 92, Denny's first year, they were the 4th highest scoring offense with Rich Gannon and
John Salisbury
as the quarterback.
Yeah, that's impressive. I forgot that.
So like half the years in the 90s, they were top 5 scoring offenses, but only once, 2009 since then. Last year, they were 8th in scoring. 2019, kind of the time Declan was referencing, like early Kirk Cousins, they were 8th in scoring. So if you're going to use the 2009 offense as the bar, that offense scored 470 points in 16 games. This one last year scored 424. So they scored 50 fewer points with one extra game. So they've got a lot of work to do. And now in the fourth quarter, the Vikings were the best offense in the NFL. So if they can broaden out the way they were in the fourth quarter and play that way more often, I do think this has a chance to be 2009-esque. The differences between this and 2009, I think there's better. I mean, Jefferson's would be the best receiver by far on either of those rosters. I think this team has deeper receivers. I'll take that version of Brett Favre over this version of Kirk Cousins. This is probably the best version of Kirk Cousins we've ever seen in many ways, but I would still take that version of Brett Favre. I'll take that offensive line in 2009, and I'll obviously take Adrian Peterson in his prime. Yeah. So, but they could run, they have for sure 2 established receivers. Jordan Addison probably gets in the mix as a really good receiver. And I kind of like the running back by committee thing they have going on too. They can just they can tap in and out depending on the situation and who's healthy from week to week. So I think, here's my long rambling bold take, I guess. I think this can be the second top 5 offense the Vikings have had since 2000. I think that's a viable, attainable goal for this year.
Yep. And as good as Favre made Shanko in 2009, and as good as Visante played, I'll take Hawkinson over that Shanko too. Like, I do think the tight end position becomes really, really dangerous now, which, God bless them. But Kyle's last 2 or 3 years here, I don't think Cousins trusted him completely. So I do think that there is an element in the short passing game, or the passing game, I should say, with a tight end that we probably have not seen, as far as the fact that Hawkinson is more dangerous than a lot of tight ends this team has had previously as a pass catcher.
Is the line as a whole better from versus 2009? Because I think the tackles right now collectively are better, but the interior in 09 was better.
It was McKinney and Loadhole, right?
And they were solid. They were good.
And Herrera at right guard, Sullivan in his first year as a starter at center, who was incredibly smart.
He was really good.
I'll take this Darisaw over that McKinney.
Take this Brian O'Neill versus
the tackles is a conversation. It's a conversation, but the interior is not a conversation.
It's not.
I agree. No.
Yeah, I'm Hutch at left guard. It was Hutch at left guard, Sullivan at center, Herrera. If you can get if Ed Ingram can replicate what the Vikings got from Herrera in 2009 this season, you'll be very happy. Herrera was a solid player.
Forget too that in 04 and 03 with Dant that they just finished outside it. I looked that up. I was trying to feel like they weren't top 5 in either of those seasons. They were obviously just on the cusp. Their yards was like 1 and 2.
Scotland. But, Scott was a good play caller, you guys.
They were 6th in back-to-back years in scoring in 2003 and 2004. And so if you go again, they added the extra game this last year, right, or 2 years ago. So I'm trying to do if you lopped, because I think they averaged 24 points a game, so let's call it a 400-point offense. They've had a bunch of 400-point offenses, 03, 04, 09, even in 2019, 20, and 21 with an extra game. So can they get to that next level though? That's the thing. What are they going to be great at as a team? Probably not defense. They might take a step. But we've been saying this for 2 or 3 years. They've got enough things. You got a talented quarterback. You got best receiver in the NFL. You got an offensive-minded head coach right now. Make the jump. There's no reason why they can't make the jump and be the 4th or 5th best scoring offense in the NFL, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I think they could become a very viable, dangerous team if they are top 5 in scoring, and if they can get, let's say, mid-pack in defensive scoring.
Here's some of the other top 5 offenses. We listed some of the ones throughout the 90s. Judd, you're going to have to tell us tales about these other ones. So 1988,
let me tell you something.
with Wade Wilson as the leading passer, Anthony Carter as the leading receiver, Jerry Burns, head coach.
Yes. That was the team, because at that point in time, the importance of the run game was still huge. That's the team that in 89 then went and got Herschel, because they thought mistakenly, despite the fact that Burns was a West Coast guy and Herschel was a North-South guy, they thought that would actually put them over the top with the acquisition of Walker from Dallas. But if you go back and look at the passing of that team, and this is why, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Anthony Carter belongs in the Ring of Honor yesterday.
Yeah.
Anthony Carter was a great pickup and was fantastic and was dangerous. He was a vertical threat. And in the 87 playoffs, like if you go back and look at his ridiculous production, that was really, really special.
And then 2 years earlier, 86, they were a top 5 offense. Actually, Steve Jordan was their leading receiver that year. Anthony Carter was on the team too. Tommy Kramer was the leading passer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had... Back in the 70s, they had in the 60s and 70s, they had top 5 offenses in 64 and 65 under Norm Van Brocklin with Fran Tarkenton as the quarterback.
Bad teams, but yeah. Or not
the number 1 offense in 1969, Bud Grant, Joe Kapp. Mm-hmm. Then they were 3rd the next year. And then when Fran came back in the mid-70s, they had 2 top 5 offenses in 74 and 75. Chuck Foreman as the multifaceted starting running back. So
West Coast guy, absolutely.
And it's funny, you think of those Vikings teams from way back in the day, like Purple People Eaters defense, rightfully so, but they actually had some really good offenses back in those days too. So, but it's been a while. It's been a while since they've had a top 5 caliber offense.
I think it's very fair to say set the bar at 2009, and if you approach 98, you've done something really right.
Yes. If you approach Finch Home Solutions, you've done something really right too.
You know why?
Right?
Because
tell them, Judd.
What you have done for any electrical issues around your house, when you see that beautiful van Cody Finch and his team pull up, what you are going to get is service that is courteous, that is efficient, that is going to take care of anything. And look, I've been preaching this for quite some time, but electrical issues are not DIYs, folks. They are not they're not hammering in something around the old home. Take it from Sports Dad. You want to get this done by the professionals, and you want them to come into your home and be as quick and courteous as possible. And that is what Finch is going to give you. Take it from me. They did some work a few months back in my house. You know, Sports Dad, he doesn't let people in his house. But when Finch came to the door, guess what he did? He threw the door open. He said, yes, boys, let's take care of the problem. And they did. And now you can follow in the footsteps of Sports Dad. Call him 612-357-2604, finchhomesolutions.com. You can even go online, finchhomesolutions.com, fill out a form. You don't even have to talk to anybody. They will show up at your house. They will fix the problem, and you will be happy. And of course, when they do arrive and you start talking Vikings, tell them Purple Daily and Score North sent you. finchhomesolutions.com.
There's your Saturday check down. Just checking in here, saying hi on a Saturday. All right. Daily Vikings entertainment.
Time to get up.
Time to get high.